General Pam Bondi is now vowing to release the bombshell Jeffrey Epstein document. She says it's sitting on her desk. Lena, do you have any insight on what's coming?
Transparency. Transparency is coming. We had a lot of defiance, I think is the word you were looking for, from the radical left, and that's because they would have rather us kept quiet. They didn't want to expose the funding that they were getting through NGOs, through USAID, and now they're going to panic because they don't want anybody to know who was on Epstein's Island, who was a pedo, and who is probably still sitting in D.C. And the reality of the situation is this: there will be accountability, and America deserves it. We needed to know what the drones are. We needed to know that we were okay. We need to know about Epstein's Island. We want to know about JFK. The days of American government hiding from American people are over.
So JFK, all of the information there is going to be released, and all of this guy's information and what's going on that island is going to be released as well. I think it's important to pay attention to who is going to be getting the credit for that. But not only the credit for that, but the credit for who is going to bring peace between these two countries, Russia and Ukraine, because that's also going to happen. That's going to happen, and somebody is going to get credit for that. President Trump, he posts a lot on his Truth Social, and he tries to, it's in the form of being transparent, but he says a lot. And he's letting us know what he is doing. And he says, I am in serious discussions with Putin concerning the ending of the war. So this war is going to end, and it is going to end under a certain administration. Here's another post that I think is important to pay attention to. It says, and for the United States of America, this is talking about a very big victory regarding Germany, but it says, and for the United States of America, under the leadership of a gentleman named Donald J. Trump, congratulations to all. He's letting everybody know who is responsible for what is taking place, and he refers to himself in the third person. He says, under the leadership of a gentleman named Donald J. Trump. I think that's fascinating. And then he says, many more victories to follow. That is significant, because there's still a lot of chaos that's happening over in the Middle East. Israel is still getting bombarded, and they are still attacking. And so there's still stuff going on. And that is important to understand as well, because there's going to be somebody who shows up sooner or later. I don't know who it's going to be. But there's going to be somebody who shows up, and he is going to create a covenant. He's going to make a covenant. And so when you think about that, because that's what's talked about in Daniel 9:27, you're just left there thinking, who is it going to be? And this is just fascinating to unpack, because there's going to be somebody who shows up, and he's going to be the Antichrist. And whoever he is, he's going to be known by the world. He's going to have all of these ribbons on his chest, in a sense, like in like a form of accomplishments. He's going to have his resume, if you will. But this person is going to be well known because he has been conquering, and he's going out to conquer. So he's conquering and to conquer. So he's not going to be a nobody. He is going to be somebody that everybody is very, very well aware of, who has been conquering and is still going out to conquer. And so it's interesting. Like, this is some really fun stuff to unpack. And when I say fun, I mean it's really, really cool, because this is authenticating the Bible in a sense. Because we understand, there's a lot, the Bible is under attack. The Bible is under very, very big scrutiny. Like, a lot of people are constantly saying the Bible is not real, it's not true, it's false here, it contradicts itself, all this kind of stuff. And so when you just kind of sit back and just, take a deep breath, and you just appreciate the authentication that the Bible has, it really, really allows this rest and this hope and this relaxation and this peacefulness to just kind of sweep over you, because you know that this was written down over 2,000 years ago, at least here in Revelation. And so that is really, really cool. And that is where we need to that's something that we need to remember. But just remembering the idea that there is going to be somebody who shows up who is a Mr. Fix-It. There is going to be a Mr. Fix-It who shows up. And when you think about it, I don't know when the rapture is going to happen. I don't know who the Antichrist is. I have no idea. But Paul talks about in 1 Thessalonians that we are not of the night. If you're a born-again believer, when the rapture occurs, it's not going to take you by surprise. And so if you believe that it's not going to take you by surprise, well, then what that means is that you will be able to see the signs that are, the writing that's on the wall. And so it's kind of similar of like how we know that Christmas is near. We know that Christmas is near because you start seeing Thanksgiving decorations out, right? You see Thanksgiving decorations and you know that Christmas is coming, and then you start to see the trees, the Christmas trees, you see the Santa Clauses, all that kind of stuff. It's the same idea with what's going on in the world right now, in my opinion. I believe the rapture is going to happen in my lifetime. I could be wrong though, and there's a lot of people who could be wrong in it, but I need you to remember it's not about if I'm right or wrong. It's about telling people about Jesus. That's the whole story of the Bible. The whole story from Genesis to Revelation is about Jesus. And so keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't forget what you're here for. You are here for such a time as this, regardless of if the rapture occurs in our lifetime or not. But one way or the other, you and I, if you're a born-again believer, we need to be telling people about Jesus. And that is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be glorifying God with everything that you say or do, whatever you eat or drink, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, whatever part of the world you are in, you're supposed to be focusing on glorifying the Lord. Because that's what you were made for. You were created for those good works in Ephesians chapter 2:10. It's interesting to see this kind of stuff. And when you learn it, then you start to forget about yourself and you start to focus on who we should be focusing on, and that's God, because God's going to get the glory one way or the other. You might as well just do what you can for him while you have the privilege to do so.